and I think we can officially say this is the centerpiece of the night. Ashley Davidson. I know I'm gay, but my partner and I were both like, damn, when we were catching up on the last few weeks of episodes. You boys know what I mean. Canada flag, Canada flag. I suppose I'll ask a question. What do you guys think of the whole BioWare Anthem Kotaku thing?
Guess we're just like soggy pieces of meat lying out to dry.
I've grown up. I've been trained to think I'm basically chopped liver, so I'm okay in that role.
Listen, why don't we let the
first off, she better say thank you.
Thank you. You're welcome. I'm somewhat convinced that my mother writes all these questions.
Nope, that was Ashley.
The BioWare thing is, for me anyways, upsetting. I've spoken about this before. I have a long history with that franchise. I think for the console crowd who grew to love BioWare with their original Xbox games like KOTOR and Jade Empire, amazing games. Mm-hmm. But there was a whole audience before that with Baldur's Gate and Neverwinter Nights, and they just had so many good games that we just fell in love with. So we fell in love with that studio too, and the studio almost got better as they were going. And when the doctors left, Ray and I can't remember his name. When they left around 2012, I think they left before Inquisition. The studio started changing. Inquisition, I thought, was really good. It had a few issues, but it was good. But then they started losing a lot of people. I mean, like they lost what's his name?
The doctors left with the EA buy or before?
They left in 2012, so you'd have to look at
so it was after
when it was.
EA bought them.
Because EA was going to buy them.
Because EA bought them after Mass Effect 1.
Like they lost, who was it? Mike Laidlaw. They lost a lot of people. Casey Hudson left, and he came back. They've had so much turnover that it doesn't surprise me that they're having all these issues. I mean, a studio that is expected to put out games of that quality without the same people. I mean, it's really upsetting, and it's more upsetting for me to see the kind of the work conditions that a lot of the developers have been placed into, because I know what it's like to work in hostile and stressful environments like that, and I don't wish that on anyone. And I think that the way a lot of the developers are being treated, I mean, a game like Andromeda, where like someone works on that for 4 years of their life and people are just telling them to kill themselves on Twitter. Like, I think that's really gross. And it's just upsetting to me to see where the studio's at, to the point that they've had to address it. I mean, even Anthem, even if you really like it, I think if you were looked at it objectively and you're fair and honest about it, I think you could admit that that's not the game that you hoped it was going to be, or that they showed us at E3. I mean,
the fact that they had to change the name like weeks before their E3 showing, and like at that point, like Anthem didn't mean anything, like
it just bums me out, man. Like, because I'm such a huge fan of that studio. So to see where they're at right now, it sucks. I mean,
reading that they had to take you would see developers on 1 to 3 month stress leave. It's just like, what kind of darkest dungeon scenario are they running over there? Mm. And that's, I mean, like one of the, I think Corey on the last live podcast, when they were talking about this, he said, man, I feel bad for dogging it as much as I did, because and we don't know the conditions that games are made on a lot of times. And a lot of times we're just armchair talking about things. I mean, I think on this show, we do our level best to not be shitty. Yeah. But that sucks. Like the fact that EA is just relying on BioWare magic. It's like a lot of that.
Like they're expecting the same magic out of a completely different crew. basically, right? And you're not going to get it. And
Right.
you know, I am concerned about the future of that studio.
Me too.
If I'm being honest, and I'm not trying to be negative or anything like that, because if I'm being honest, like they're one of my favorite developers of all time. So I wish that they could kind of catch lightning in a bottle again, but it's a completely different crew. So, you know, I'm not expecting it. And I would not be surprised if BioWare does not make it all the way through the next generation of consoles.
I wouldn't be either.
I don't think they will.
I'm glad Jason Schreier wrote that article. And subsequently, he wrote an article in the New York Times about how the game industry needs to unionize. And I also like how a lot of game studio heads have come out, particularly Dave Lang at Iron Galaxy. He said, hey, you know how to not run your people into the ground? It really starts with you deciding to not do that.
Yeah.
And you know, and that is clearly a decision that is made. It's not just something that that is hoisted upon you. It's not something that just happens. You chose to do that. And the reason BioWare isn't what it used to be is probably because somewhere along the line somebody chose the scenario that has led them here.
Well, that's the reason why DICE isn't what they used to be. That's the reason why was it Visceral?
Yeah, it's the reason why Visceral's gone.
That are gone. It is only a matter of time, in my opinion, before BioWare is DOA. Yeah. And they just kick them to the curb. The only thing probably saving them right now is the fact that they have a Dragon Age game on the horizon. I mean,
that they had to reboot.
Yeah,
and that's not even a saving thing, because EA could just cancel that.
You know, like when you look at the development cycle of Mass Effect Andromeda, and they were forced to reboot it and make the game that they put out in 18 months. Like, that's insane. They were already in development for God knows how long after 3. And then they rebooted, they restarted and changed development with 18 months left. Like, what did you expect to happen, EA? What did you expect to happen?
There is also there's a lot of people who I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
There's a lot of people. I'm not a developer, but if you look at the way a lot of the developers talk about Frostbite, I mean, the games look great on Frostbite, but it's my understanding that for when you use Frostbite for games, it's not specifically made for, and that would be shooters. It poses a lot of technical issues. I mean, you only have to look at the way Anthem is to see that. And
is it an EA engine or a DICE engine? Sorry,
that's
it's EA's.
I mean,
well, like EA uses it.
Yeah, but it's DICE's engine, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, but EA uses it for
everything now.
Yeah. Okay. That's. I'm sorry.
I think the only first party that isn't using Frostbite is Respawn. I think they're still using Source.
They're still using Source, but I imagine they'll be moving if Valve put out a new one. But
which is funny because that's like the one genre that Frostbite would work with would be.
But sorry to cut you off, Phyllis, but I
that's good.
Curious is like, you know, because I thought that was DICE's engine, but
it looks really good. I mean, it looks great. I think Frostbite games look great, but when it's used for everything, apparently it doesn't. It's not the easiest to work with.
Yeah.
Also, maybe you shouldn't use Frostbite for Madden either. Madden was rough last year.
Madden?
Yeah, and FIFA. And the hockey game, I guess.
Do they even know what the fuck they're doing over there?
I mean, I think EA is making decisions to benefit EA.
But it's not in the long run. That's their problem.
Right.
Like on paper, it sounds like a great idea, right? Yeah. Everybody uses the same engine. We can use shared technologies. We can teach each other things and use
abstractly. You think that speeds things up?
Right?
Yeah.
But it doesn't, because the game, the engine is not working the way you want it to work.
And EA is making all kinds of games, like sports games, shooters, open world RPGs, multiplayer. You know what I mean? Like, it's just not.
I think EA's problem is the point, like, where they're like, they made an announcement where they're like, oh, we would love to have a series like Tomb Raider or Uncharted. Their problem is they meddle with stuff too much. They need to let their developers be able to develop their games and put them out.
They would love to have a game like Uncharted when they fired Amy Hennig.
Or that too. In my opinion, it's a goddamn miracle we got Apex Legends. I missed the Titanfall train because I didn't buy an Xbox One, because I talked about it countless times. But anyways,
Titanfall 2 was great.
So I went with PlayStation 4. When Titanfall 2 came out, I bought it day one. Loved the hell out of it. You can ask Phillips, him and I, we were in the trenches playing all the time with our boy Dominic.
I remember you guys talking about it. You guys
Mr. Buttervoice himself.
Oh yeah,
Mr. Buttervoice himself. But we had a blast with that game. And then when Jason Schreier was like tweeting that, oh hey, if you want to have your game leaked, have like early adapters like play it on Twitch. And then it was like, wait, what is this game? And then I played the game and I love the game. It's great. It's just, it's a battle royale. I'm glad that it's doing well. I don't have the time for it. You know, like my shooters is like Division 2 and obviously Borderlands now because the Game of the Year is out. But the fact that we got Apex Legends is just insane. And that needs to be the kick in the butt of EA to be like, just let us do our fucking thing. Like, just back the fuck off. Let your developers make their game and stop meddling so much and trying to control the numbers and trying to control what's happened, and just let the games happen. It's almost kind of like how record studios used to control the artists in the studio, and it's like you're not going to get you need to let them just go in and do their thing, and they will produce a good album. You know? So, but anyways, that's my piece on it. Sorry. I
think you're kind of right. I mean, I personally think the only thing saving BioWare at this particular point is Apex Legends.
That and the potential of Dragon Age. I don't want to rule that out. I think Dragon Age is kind of saving them too.
Because EA, as people were saying, EA has a Fortnite. It's going to continually make money because it is actually really goddamn good. It is the best battle royale game I've played.
And don't forget, they still have FIFA, which is the biggest sports game in the world.
Yeah, right. So, I mean, you look at it, they've got FIFA, they've got Apex Legends, and now they have this, Dragon Age on the horizon. So that is the only thing saving BioWare.
And don't forget, regardless of what we thought of Battlefront 2, that game still sold like gangbusters.
That's
because 80% of the public had no clue what was going on behind the scenes.
Yeah,
I haven't looked up what the subscriber numbers are recently, but a lot of people forget that BioWare still runs an MMO.
Yeah, the Star Wars one.
Star Wars.
Yeah, Old Republic.
Okay, next question.
Are you running short on time, Matt?
I am, but that's fine. I'm not worried about it.